I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night.
Hey guys, and welcome to the new episode of Full Throttle. Today is cold as f*** and we will show you a car that's exactly suitable for this weather. This is the new BMW X3M. When the BMW X3M first came out, a lot of people argued that this isn't really an M car, because it's an SUV, it's all-wheel drive and has enough space to fit a child seat and 10 sets of diapers. But I think people saying this are missing entirely the point of this car, because this BMW X3M was never meant to be a competitor to the M3, the M4 and the M2s. It's a car that people who already have the BMW M4 will buy because they need something to complement their fleet, and it's an M SUV, which means it's a brand new and different M product, and like it or not, these cars are here to stay. So in today's episode we're going to see what exactly the BMW X3M can do, and can it really do things that the other M cars can't. Another thing that this BMW X3M can do is drive in the snow, because the car has an all-wheel drive X-Drive system, which is very good. It means that even in these winter conditions and minus 10 degrees, the BMW X3M has no problem getting traction. And of course, one of the most important things that the BMW X3M can do, and something like the M3 can't, is going off-road. And yes, that's kind of the purpose of SUVs, crazy right? Now let's check out if this BMW X3M can actually go off-road. And yes, you might say that the new BMW M3 and M4 will also be all-wheel drive, just like this BMW, but the truth is that this car actually has some useful clearance and it can go over things. Now, we'll demonstrate to you by going over this beer can without destroying it. And even though it might sound a bit weird coming from me, we have to know that climbing in and out of the BMW X3M is much easier than BMW M3, for example. And this might be important for some people. And now let's check out how fast this BMW X3M is from 0 to 60 and how fast does it do the quarter mile. Now here engaging the launch control is very complicated and you have to do like 6 steps, so we had to do like 10 minutes of research to figure it out, but we finally did it, so let's do it. Now left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle, launch control, build boosted. Wow. It feels very quick and it sounds very good too. And now let's check out what times did we get from the BMW X3M competition. Now we have to say that the car is on winter tires and outside is minus 5 degrees and there is a little bit of snow. Now the best 0 to 60 run we have is 4.9 seconds, which is better than what BMW claims, which is 4.2 seconds. And for the quarter mile we have 12.32 seconds, which is also a very impressive time for these conditions and for a fat heavy SUV. But after all, this is still an M car, and the most important part about an M car is how it drives. Now, the first thing that defines the driving experience of the BMW X3M is unfortunately its super stiff ride. Yes, other M cars are stiff too, but this car is just ungodly. Even the smallest imperfections on the road makes the whole car shakes, which just gives you an overall feeling that you shouldn't drive this car outside of Germany and their perfect roads. And that's something I definitely do not appreciate, especially in a family SUV, because the idea of this car is to be an all-purpose family car, and the fact that it has a suspension which is as stiff as a race car definitely doesn't help that. But thankfully there are good things about the BMW X3M, and the best one is definitely the engine. Now, I already mentioned that this is one of the most muscular and most aggressive new BMW engines ever made, and it's just brilliant here. There is absolutely no turbo lag, so you press on the throttle and the car accelerates forward. The gear shifts are just lightning fast, and even though the car doesn't have a dual clutch transmission anymore, it's still just as fast as the other M cars. And then there's the steering. Because of that super stiff suspension, the car is very stable in the turns. It's actually super well planned on the road, and the all-wheel drive system helps with that, giving you perfect traction even in winter conditions. And yes, the engine doesn't sound as good as the GLC 63 AMG or maybe even as the Alfa Romeo Stelvio, but still it has more power, it's more direct, and I think just as an overall level of performance, this one is the best engine you can get. And as a real M car, of course, in the BMW X3M you get a real M engine. This is the S58, which is the same engine you'd get in the new M3 and the M4. Here in this competition trim, the car has 510 horsepower and it has 600 Nm of torque. This is enough for 0 to 60 time in under 4 seconds, and what's really interesting about this engine is that we are already seeing builds with over 600 and 700 horsepower, which only show how much tuning potential this engine has. And now let's check out how this BMW X3M sounds. This is a Euro model with all the OPF filters. Now, a lot of people say that the BMW X3 might be the best looking BMW SUV, and I would agree, even though the competition isn't really tough. Now, this car looks very normal, which in BMW terms means it looks great. You have a very smart looking front and the grills are actually normal sized. And because this is an M car, you get a more aggressive bumper style right here, bigger air intakes, and of course no fog lights. Overall, what you're left with is a very smart and aggressive looking car with normal sized grills. Here is the biggest difference between this car and the BMW X4M, which we tested before. If you haven't seen that video, click on the link up there to check it out. Now, this car is the X3M and the X4M is the coupe version of this car, which means the X3 is the normal looking SUV and it has a normal looking end. And the X4 has the coupe line, which I think it looks okay-ish, but this car is of course more classical, and I would get why people would prefer the look of this car. The back of this BMW X3M looks really good. It looks very smart and aggressive. You get beautiful tail lights and of course black quad exhaust pipes, which sound okay and are part of the competition package. Of course you get a spoiler, because what would be a sporty SUV without a spoiler? But overall a great looking car from the back, and I would agree that this is one of the best looking sporty SUVs that you can buy today. The best part about the interior of the BMW X3M is that BMW has managed to make this interior feel way more special than the one in the standard X3, which feels a little bit boring. Here you have a lot of goodies that are only for the M model, which are the M steering wheel, you have the M digital dials, you have a different gear lever here, and of course one of the most beautiful and most comfortable sporty seats on the market. Of course we also have this extremely beautiful B-tone color interior here, which makes the car feel very special. And even though those are only minor differences, they managed to make the atmosphere of the interior way different than the one on the standard BMW X3. And what's also interesting is that here you get the older style digital dials, which in fact I like more than the new ones because they look better and they're not as confusing. And you also get the older iDrive system, which I also happen to like more than the new one because it's simpler to use and I think it looks better. But of course, the main thing that this car can do that no other M car can is offer amazing practicality. And here in the rear seats you get a lot of space. You can easily fit 3 people, you get a lot of headroom and knee room, and you can fit baby seats, child seats and whatever you need. And trying doing that in an M4, it simply wouldn't work. And here in the back you get a massive boot. It's 550 liters, it's very tall, and you can fit all the stuff your family needs. The BMW X3M is a different kind of M car, and that's the best way to approach it. While it could never match an M3 on the track, it's pretty damn close for an SUV with amazing engine and performance, which is definitely M-batch worthy. And then there is everything else that the regular M cars can't really do. The X3M has super capable all-wheel drive system, it has tons of space and practicality, which makes it a perfect family car, as well with the actual ability to go off-roading if you wish. So there you have an M SUV which does it all. Perfect addition to someone who already has an M car, or a great product on its own, only if the ride wasn't that bad.